back to Football 101. Welcome back to our shows. And this is a celebration of the NFC South. That's right, Football 101, we digging into now the NFC South division of the NFL. Yes, I am your host, The Beetle. Yeah, former football player of Miami University in Ohio and Xenia, Ohio high school football player. Yeah, yeah, I'm still bringing it. And this is the 2024 edition of Football 101. In the past, I used to do my NFL magazine show, and now I have my Football 101 YouTube show. So thank you for joining us. And now we're going to jump into the Atlanta Falcons. That's right, Atlanta Falcons. This is what I'm talking about. It's time to get busy with the Atlanta Falcons, with their new head coach, second-year head coach, Raheem Morris. And let me just say, as I do with all my Football 101 overviews, this is preseason. Every team, NFL team, has played their first preseason game, and they're getting ready for their game number 2. But this is in between after their first preseason game. This is still during training camp, and you know I love training camp. Lots of things are happening in the Atlanta Falcons training camp. And before I get into dig deep into the Falcons, let me give a shout out to ATL Sports Zone, as well as Locked On Falcons podcast, featuring Aaron Freeman. Yes, Aaron Freeman. Let me give a shout out to Aaron Freeman, Locked On Falcons podcast, where he has been hating, as he says, hating on the Falcons for several decades, but now he's loving the Falcons with the changeover of leadership and some of the changes that they're trying to do with the Falcons. So a quick shout out to Locked On Falcons podcast, Aaron Freeman. You keep on bringing it, bruh. And then a shout out to Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Falcons Today by Chat Sports. I'm digging deep into some of their videos and their overview of the Atlanta Falcons. And right now, I want to say that they were concerned a little bit. Like I said, the first preseason game is by the wayside against the Miami Dolphins. And I'll get into that in just a second. So, this is how we're going to do it. And also, let me give a shout out to Lindy Sports. I always pick up my magazine, Lindy Sports, and I'm going to read portions of this so we can dig deeper into the Atlanta Falcons. Of course, they have Bijan Robinson, the superstar running back from last year, returning for second year. But let's start off with Raheem Morris, second year full-time with the Falcons. He's a defensive-minded coach. Raheem, coming from, really put his time in, coming from defensive coordinator he was with the LA Rams. They picked up offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, and the defensive coordinator is Jimmy Lake. I really like how Raheem is changing around the culture as fast as possible in Atlanta. And let me just say, the Beetle, I used to live in Atlanta. We used to live in Atlanta from 1993 to 1995. I know how it is in the ATL. I know the history of the Dirty Bird. I know the frustration coming from Atlanta Falcons fans. Promised a lot. Got to the Super Bowl years ago, but never have returned to the promised land. And gone through a lot of turmoil. Oh, I can feel your anguish, ATL fans. But you're trying to change around the culture there. Lots of hope. I'm always surprised how much ATL fans just really show up. The Dirty Bird. The Dirty Bird is still alive and well. They keep that tradition live. As a matter of fact, during the tailgating around the stadium, I remember the tailgate around the stadium. And serious tailgaters, by the way. But again, getting back to today, ATL with Raheem Morris, excellent coach, excellent fit. Matter of fact, they highlight a video of him coming off the bus, a short video coming off the bus for his first preseason game with the Dolphins. Looking good, looking stylish. Raheem Morris, styled up head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. So that's what you get here on our preview, on our overview of the show. Raheem Morris bringing the style points. Raheem is working intently with, I believe, their new general manager. He could have been there a while. I don't know, not for sure. But Terry Fontenot is really trying to bring in some high-level players. They particularly need them, and they've been successful this offseason. Really had to change direction, trading off Desmond Ridder, trading off a lot of folks. I'm going to get to that in just a second. And matter of fact, losing Cordell Patterson, my boy Cordell, running back, Mr. Everything. I did not like to see that, but Cordell, he's just a versatile athlete, running back kicks, but really as a running back. But since they acquired Bijan Robinson, the days were numbered for Patterson. So starting with the big deal, yes, the acquisition got rid of Desmond, but the acquisition of Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins again signing a committed $202 million to Kirk and Michael Penix Jr. But Kirk leaving the Vikings, coming down to ATL. And I remember after he made that deal, I saw Kirk Cousins. He's really happy because his wife is from the Georgia area, and he felt very comfortable making the change from Minnesota to the ATL in Georgia. He's very delighted. And when the Falcons traded up, or not traded, but acquired Michael Penix in the draft, a lot of skepticism went haywire. I mean, during draft day in Detroit, and when Michael Penix was selected, they just figured, why would they do that? They just signed Kirk Cousins. And Michael Penix, when interviewed, said all the right things. And Michael Penix, super duper star. Yeah, super duper star. And rightly so, from Washington. And he throws left. He's a lefty. He's been around and injured before. He started at Indiana University. I remember him in Indiana, and then transferred out and went to Washington. Really elevated that team and elevated his potential as well. So let me just say right up front, I think it was a great get for the ATL for Atlanta Falcons. But let me just say, after seeing Kirk Cousins in training camp, don't worry, Michael Penix, you will get your time when it's time. So sit and learn. Now, let me just say, sit and learn from Kirk Cousins. What I've seen thus far in training camp from Kirk Cousins, he throws the money. He throws the ball on the money. He's got that zip. He's got that tight spiral. He got it right on the money. So let me say right up front, and let me just say, the Beetle, I'm not a big fan of Kirk Cousins. But what I've seen in training camp and what he's bringing, he's not affected by all the hype when Michael Penix going to see. No, I'm going to say this. The Beatles going to say, put all that to the side, cause veteran player Kirk Cousins has it covered. He's telling it like it is. He's showing it day to day in the workouts. So I was very pleased to see that Kirk Cousins was looking really good in camp. So enough, let me just say, enough of the drama. Now that's one thing the ATL loves to do in Atlanta. The drama. When covering the Falcons, it's always so much drama. Let's cut out the drama with Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins and thinking that Penix is going to start over. No. No. Michael Penix has a lot of growth to do, okay? We saw him. I saw the game of the Falcons just on the first their first game against the Dolphins, and Penix looked good in different rotation. He looks good on. He's a fast motion. He makes good decisions, but he doesn't have the touch. He doesn't have that NFL touch. He doesn't have the good reads that yet. And that was just the first game of the Dolphins training camp or preseason. But you can see that he has a ways to go. So, and it's good for a top quarterback, really one of the second top quarterback from last year's draft, to sit and watch again, Cousins, esteemed veteran. So stop the talk. Penix has a ways to go. And he's saying the right things. And the media in Atlanta, ATL Sports Zone, I think y'all need to get up off of him. And even Aaron Freeman, Locked on Falcons podcast, I know there's a lot of hype, and he's loving on the Falcons. But I'm also telling Aaron Freeman, you can tap down the excitement a bit on Michael Penix, as well as Jackson Kruger Sports. He actually broke down. Oh, let me just shout out to Jackson Kruger Sports. He broke down every play of Michael Penix in that game, and you can see where he has ways to go. So thank you, Jackson Kruger Sports, for breaking down Michael Penix work during that first game. So I want to give a shout out there. So let me just say also, give a shout out right there. So the quarterback position, Kirk Cousins will do his job. He'll get the ball around. Running backs, Bijan Robinson really looks good. He will attempt to follow up a spectacular rookie campaign. He showed that he's an all-purpose back who can stay on the field on every play. So you have Bijan Robinson lived up to expectations as he amassed over 1,000 yards I believe from last year. High quality professional as well. So the running back position with Bijan, and let me just say, there's also I see Bijan and Tyler Algier. Tyler, he looks good. He was a top level running back. I think they still need some help because Bijan can't do it all. And what I've seen in camp thus far, they also need a little bit more help in the running attack. So there's an area. But their offense is very well potent. They have Drake London, superstar wide receiver. They have Kyle Pitts. Now, is he going to move out the wide receiver or what? Because he's been kind of disappointing. Your boy Kyle Pitts. Everyone's been waiting for him to shine. So they need to spread him out even more like a wide receiver. And then you got Rondale Moore, a veteran wide receiver, and Darnell Mooney, excellent wide receiver. So they're going to score points. There is no doubt about it. And it says, Lindy Sports says, tight end and Kyle Pitts in his fifth year option picked up. The Falcons select Pitts, number 4 in 2021. Pitt needs to have a bounce back season in his fourth season after catching only 53 of 90 targets for 667 yards and 3 touchdowns. He needs to step up big time. He's a super talent, and they just need to flank him out. He's more of a wide receiver than a tight end. That's reality. The offensive line, Left tackle Jake Matthews and right guard Chris Lindstrom anchor perhaps the strongest unit on the team. Again, this unit allowed 40 sacks. The Falcons gave up sacks per pass attempt. That's their weakness, I would say, their offensive line. So, but this offense will score points, no doubt about it, and it's upgraded, no doubt about it. Let's give props to the general manager, Terry Fontenot, for making deals and bringing in the offensive firepower and shoring up at least that number one position, which is quarterback. And just in case if Kirk Cousins get hurt, you do have Michael Penix coming off the bench and solidifying that quarterback position. So you won't have much older veteran coming off the bench. You have a young rookie who's stepping up, and then they have Tyler Heineke as a backup. And Tyler Heineke Taylor Heineke, he's really a veteran quarterback, and I think he took a pay cut just to stay with the team. 3 quarterbacks, I think that's a great deal. And again, solidify that quarterback position, because that's really the key for the Falcons. There's a lot of frustration in the ATL, but you should be reassured that Kirk Cousins, don't boo him relentlessly. He makes plays. And again, I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan, but I think he's in the right mind frame. He wants to kind of mentor the next quarterback, and with his family, his wife and his family from there. I think it's a great fit for Kirk Cousins. I'm sure he's glad to get out of Minnesota. And so again, the offense will score points. They just need to re-up, solidify that offensive line. And when you have superstar Drake London, he's so smooth. He's smooth in his routes. He's a big wide receiver. Drake London is definitely one of the bigger wide receivers at 6'4", 219. Again, yes, he's from Southern Cal, and so you really like Drake London. I really like him. And then you got Rondale Moore from Purdue, vast wide receiver. So they're going to score points. The key, unfortunately for the Falcons, it comes down to their defense. It really does come down to their defense. Their defensive line, Grady Jarrett, a 2-time Pro Bowler, is expected back from knee surgery. And they really don't have any named linebackers. Troy Anderson, Arnold, Elbelty, and Kadeem, Ellison. Matter of fact, in the latest podcast, they're actually trying to make a trade for one of the veteran linebackers. I think the latest name was Matthew Judon. I don't think that's going to happen. And then there's been talk about signing Justin Simmons from Denver, and because their number one safety, Jesse Bates, would be ideal for Justin Simmons to pair up with Jesse Bates. But right now, Justin Simmons, as I record this show, he's supposed to come to Atlanta for several days. He's going to other teams. His name is being tossed around. He's a veteran, but he is an all-pro, and there's excitement if they can land Justin Simmons. But let me just say this, right up front. If you land Justin Simmons, you have a strong safety, 2 strong safety. You still the ATL Falcons need a strong defensive line and linebackers. That's their weakest part, and they're going to give up points just by not putting much pressure on opposing offensive. So I recognize. Sometimes in the ATL you get locked in on a player to get this player, but it's about developing a strong defense. And Raheem Morris, I believe he's going to bring a strong defense. It's a step-by-step process, and the hype is already on. I would just say tap it down a bit, because they just lost Braylon Trice out from for Atlanta from the Miami Dolphins game. And yes, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. You know that. That's what the Beetle is all about. What can you say? And so, unfortunately, they lost Braylon Trice. Sorry to hear that. And so they're weak at the pass rush, and they need a pass rusher, several pass rushers, ASAP. Because their defensive line again is not impressive. Zach Harrison, Grady Jarrett, and also so they just don't have that edge, and offenses just don't get nervous against this defensive line and their linebackers. It's the back end. They know Jesse Bates will bring the pain and bring the coverage. And they do have some solid corners. And matter of fact, let me make sure I'm want to touch upon the corner. Safety Jesse Bates and cornerback AJ Terrell anchor the secondary. Bates was dynamic last season as the pass defense improved from 25th in the NFL to 8th. The Falcons gave up 231.9 passing yards per game in 2022, and that was cut to 202.9 yards per game. So again, the spot opposite Terrell will likely be manned by Clark Phillips III. The Atlanta Falcons special teams, with the new kickoff returns, the Falcons are excited about the return of Avery Williams. Also, yes, their kicker, Young Ho Koo, started off strong, but was shaky coming down the stretch. He's phenomenal. I think he will solidify himself. The field goal kicker. He looks solid overall. The intangibles. Here's what Lindy Sports says about the intangibles. If Kirk Cousins can fully recover from his November Achilles surgery, which he truly, I see that he has at this time in the preseason. The Falcons could receive an unbelievable boost and have a chance to get off to a fast start, and I believe they will. I mean, the offense will be clicking by the first part of the season, and it's just a matter of putting the time in with the wide receiving and tight end crew. Kirk Cousins does bring that veteran leadership that the Falcons desperately need, and they play well in the dome. Yeah, they've always played well in the dome, and the crowd really does a great job of hyping them up. But I would just encourage the ATL Sports Zone. I would encourage Locked On Falcons podcast. I would encourage Jackson Kruger Sports to tap it down, and that is but put energy on that defense. Don't worry about one player if you sign. There's going to be other players available. But start requesting. He's talking about that defensive line and the linebackers. And by the way, one defensive back is not going to make a difference. I guarantee, even if you have the two top safeties, and I'm a defensive back myself. I was a defensive back. And I love covering and hitting. But on the best defenses, you usually you need a strong pass rush, and you need those linebackers to constantly put pressure, and that's how the DBs make their money, make the plays, cause that pressure up front. It's not all about the coverage, because again, you're in the NFC South, and you have some very fast wide receivers. So two safeties just can't cover everybody. And they're again a bit weak on the corners, so you have young corners. So it's that front line. So right now, I'm wrapping things up. I got a little hot with the ATL. Yes, I get hot with the ATL because again, I lived there 2 years, went through the frustration, and actually lived in Duluth, Georgia. Just outside of Atlanta, Gwinnett County. And I've been to a couple of ATL Atlanta Falcons games when we lived there. And I remember Deion Sanders, by the way. He just left, and the coach then was Jerry Glanville. Oh, yes. Y'all remember Jerry Glanville? Mr. Cool Jerry Glanville. So I bring the ATL history. Yet it's always too much drama. So lower the drama. Allow the players to create the new chemistry. Allow head coach Raheem Morris, who's an outstanding professional and ideal for the Atlanta Falcons. He's just the right coach. Yeah, forget about Bill Belichick, who was courted last year, including Bill Belichick, twice interviewed by the Falcons. Forget about that. Let Raheem Morris build this team around his identity. He's paid his dues. So slow it down. So here's I gotta go through the schedule. Here's the schedule for the Falcons this year. First game, Pittsburgh at home. Then they go on the road to Philly. Then they host Kansas City. Then they host New Orleans. Then they host Tampa Bay. Then they go on the road to Carolina. Then they host Seattle. Then they go on the road to Tampa Bay. Then they host the Cowboys. Then they go on the road to New Orleans. Then they go on the road to Denver. Then they have a bye. Then they host the Chargers. Then they go to Minnesota. Don't you think Kirk Cousins can't wait to go to have that game? So Kirk Cousins gonna be on fire when he goes to Minnesota. And then they go on the road to Vegas, and then they host the Giants, and then they go on the road to Washington, and then they finish out with the Carolina Panthers. So I have the Falcons with a record of 8-9. 8-9. Or they may just bust a little bit over that. It may be 9-8, but I have them really at 8-9. And the reason why I have them at 8-9 is that defense. It's the defense. It needs help ASAP. And not just one player. It's multiple players. And I'm talking about primetime players. So let's be real, ATL. It's not about one player. It's about a team. That's how you win divisions. That's how you win. Take it up the next level. And you're in the NFC South. It's kind of tough. It's very tough in the NFC South. So there you go. That's the Beatles' feedback. No, that's my assessment. That's my digging deeper into the ATL Atlanta Falcons and the Dirty Bird tradition. Yes, it's still a ways to go, but give props to Raheem Morris to changing around the culture, bringing an attitude. And there's going to be some great times, but just take it one step at a time. Take it one step at a time with Michael Penix. Don't ruin these superstar athletes. Let them mold together and become truly a team. It takes time. So there you go. That's my digging deeper of the Atlanta Falcons. Talk to you again soon. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more Football 101 reports throughout the entire season. Let's do this.